What is up, everybody? It is John here. This is Above Average Driven Millennials. Today, as every podcast, we have a guest here, Sal Ventry. What's up, Sal?
What's up, John? Thanks for having me, dude.
Absolutely. We're super excited that you're here. We also are always going to be rotating an Adapting Social team member. So today we have our man, Nick. Nick, tell us who you are and what you do.
My name is Nick. I'm a junior copywriter at Adapting Social, and I just couldn't be any happier to be here than I am right now.
Big facts. And then, as always, it will always be Jenna Taskin, our creative content officer. What's up, Jenna?
Hey.
How you doing?
I'm doing good. How are you?
You doing
Jenna's
good?
pumped.
Jenna couldn't be more excited today. Jenna's like so excited
You
today.
rate me on a level of John excitement. No, it's not fair. It's not fair.
So today's podcast, we're gonna start by diving in on your network is your net worth. So we're gonna kick it off with Sal diving in on him and his real estate, career, starting off and literally knowing nobody, and then we're gonna segue into same thing with me and Adapting Social. And Sal, just tell us a little bit about you and your story, man, and how networking really built you up to be where you are today.
Yeah, so I think it's kind of funny we're doing this topic because that's how you and I met at a networking event. So
literally
early on in my career getting into real estate, obviously I realized that without clients I couldn't sell them anything, no matter how good at my job that I was. So
couldn't be doing shit.
Right, so I figured, I just had to network and meet as many people as possible. And also, being young in real estate doesn't help. So I figured, if I can meet older people, because I growing up, I wasn't hanging out with people twice my age. So I had to, attempt to meet those people. So anyway, I started a networking group. That's where I met John. We were hosting networking events. John rolled up with, I believe it was Chris, right? And so that's it. The rest is history. That's like 4 years ago. Anyway, so I really, obviously, like I said, I think networking in my business is huge. I think in any business, because nowadays, a lot of people have access to the same tools, the same, knowledge degrees, all that stuff. And at the end of the day, what really sets you apart is your network and the people that you know and the contacts that you have. And I don't think that it's as binary and black and white as like, you have to know people to be successful. I don't think that's the case at all. But I think that it's a very, very important part of the whole package. You obviously have to be good at what you do and be a good person and not be a shithead. But you have to also know the people to put you in the right positions. But so, for me, meeting people is everything. I try to meet new people every single day. I'm not always successful at it, but I try to, and I think that's what helps me a lot in real estate.
I have a rule. I have to connect with 11 new people every day.
I
don't know why
crazy.
It's 11.
That's 11's insane.
Literally 11, not 9, not 8, 11.
See, I can see doing it.
And LinkedIn is my major platform that I do it on.
Oh, so you're not in-person meetings?
Not always in-person meetings.
Got it.
I definitely meet at least 1 or 2 random people a day, but online, I've always said since I started 11 people on LinkedIn. I have to connect with them.
Well, that's the awesome part about you being here in Asbury too.
Right.
You could just walk out the door and just meet people, which is awesome.
Exactly.
So I think obviously network is huge. I actually had a young agent contact me recently, just got his real estate license, and he's like, what can I do? What books can I read to, succeed in this career or whatnot? What should I learn? And I was like, to be honest with you, man, I said, you got to be good at what you do, and work on your craft. I'll recommend some books, but I said the biggest thing you can possibly learn how to do is network and kind of learn how to adapt to your audience, because I think that's super important as well. And I think that's what networking helps. I'm trying to get my assistant to join the networking group, not to get business, just so that he can kind of up his communication skills. And just being comfortable talking in front of strangers about what you do, and almost like improv, you know what I mean? Because when you meet someone on the street, you need to just be able to spark a conversation and talk about what you do, and you can't practice that or anything. So I think
you have to come all natty.
Exactly, right. So I think that's super important. And so anyway, this guy hit me up and he was like, what can I do to become a better realtor? And I said, just meet more people. The knowledge of the business will come with time and experience, but without the clients, you can't sell anything.
And honestly, and thank you for sharing all that. The big thing that I noticed for me is that I love to say, fuck who you know, right? Because a lot of times when I first started, everyone's like, it's all about who you know, right? It's all about who you know.
Right.
I knew nobody. You knew nobody.
No, yeah.
Right? It's about who you go and meet.
Right, absolutely.
You have to get out there and meet those people. But literally, like, one thing for me too, and it's a little strange because for me, one thing I've tried to steer away from is saying networking, because I genuinely believe that it's building relationships.
Sure.
But either way though, when you go out there and you build relationships, it changes the way that you do everything. Like you said, I mean, for me, I'm improv. So I'm not somebody, if I sat there and I had to read a script, I'm fucked.
Right.
If I go out there and I'm just like randomly gonna say something, I will do my best.
Right.
But for me, I think it's a huge, I literally contribute 75% of communication to why Adapting Social is where they are today.
For sure.
Because when I was starting the business and I went door to door to try to get these people, I didn't really know that much about even marketing or websites at that point.
Mm-hmm.
I knew like a baseline level what I learned online, but I'm sure there were people out there that knew 10 times better than I did.
Absolutely.
But because I was a good communicator and because I went out of my comfort zone and I was like, hey, you know, I'll do this, I'll hook it up, like, you know, whatever. Because when you first start, obviously, you have to do shit for free.
Of course.
You gotta build a name, you gotta build a reputation, but, you know, no one's gonna just give you a shot and, you know, put all their eggs in your basket when they don't know who the fuck you are.
Right.
So for me, going door to door and building those relationships, I fucking networked everywhere under the sun in New York and New Jersey.
I know you did.
Everywhere
I
in New
saw
Jersey.
it. I saw it.
Literally everywhere in New Jersey. But that's the cool part though, because like going back and thinking back when we were in Latip, and when I first met you before actually Latip was even a thing. Yeah, it was pre-Latip.
Yeah.
I remember like, you know, seeing you, and the funny part was like how well dressed you were. I noticed it because around here, I remember going to some networking events and people were like, are you from New York?
Yeah.
And I was like, wow,
Yeah,
what do you mean?
exactly.
Why are you in a suit? This is New Jersey.
Well, that's the thing too. I think like meeting people is half the battle, but you also have to like, they have to like you.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like you have to, and I think you get better at that and that whole improv as you do it more and more. Like
Right.
if you've never networked and you've never just went up to random strangers, you're probably gonna be shitty at it when you like start talking to people, you know? But the more comfortable you get with yourself and the more
Right.
comfortable, you know, and confident in everything, I think it's just gonna help you with all aspects of business, life, everything.
Right, I couldn't agree more. And you know what, so a big segment, and we didn't say this, but I'm gonna say it again, because we're only on episode 002. And if you can hear me too. The big purpose of the reason why we're doing this podcast and having people like you on, and we definitely want to have you on way more.
Sure, yeah.
But the big thing though is that a lot of people, the stigma of millennials, and you know, which we're millennials, is that so the one thing I said was Clint Eastwood on some magazine said that we're pussies. And he said that, you know, we're soft, and a lot of people say that we're not driven, we give up easily, we quit, we do all this other shit. So the big point of this podcast mainly is combating the fact that like that's bullshit. You know, like there is like any generation has certain people who are fucking lazy.
Sure.
Any generation has people who are fucking, you know, low life people.
I would have to agree that there's probably more softer individuals now than there were in, you know, when our parents were young or our grandparents were young, just because we have luxuries now. So I don't think that's a bad thing.
We have more access to
Right.
things.
But there's also stuff that I think millennials are 10 times better at than our parents' generation or our grandparents. You know what I mean? So I think it's a
trade-off.
I think people evolve, and that's just natural and whatever. So I don't actually 100% agree with the fact that millennials are a little softer. I kind of agree with that a little bit, but whatever, man.
But so you know, here's the thing though. Here's the way I look at it. So when I look at my dad, and like my dad's generation, it was like you had to fucking get up, put your boots on, go to work, and make a life for your family, and like, or find a wife, and then eventually make a life for your family. And now people like Clint Eastwood who are like, you know, they're a bunch of fucking pussies. It's like the thing though is that like a lot of times our generation, I mean, from what I've seen and from here in my own company, but also in a lot of the people I work with, like if you did real estate, right? Let's just say, you know, I don't know, anybody who's doing real estate, and they did it for like, you know, a solid like a year, and they were like, this doesn't make me happy.
Right.
I'm making some money. Fucking Louise from $1 Million Listing.
Yes.
I'm making millions of dollars.
Yes.
Millions of dollars.
And quit.
But I'm not happy with doing this, so I'd rather choose my happiness over this.
Sure.
That is the key difference, I think, because people are like, well, you're choosing happiness over this, you fucking bitch.
Yeah.
Like, so it's different, and I think that's a huge difference in our parents and our backwards generation.
Yeah.
Is that they didn't care about that. Now we care so much, and obviously we have to, and you guys dive in obviously at any point here. But I feel like it's because of the fact that like we have so much access to like, if I'm somebody who's obsessed with basketball, I'm watching Michael Jordan's fucking Instagram all day, and LeBron James, and I'm watching he's doing all these great things, and it's like he has this great life because he's doing what he wants to do. And if I don't feel like I'm doing what I want to do, then like maybe I should do something else so I can get to that point.
Right. I think that also too, a part of that has to do with the fact that our generation realizes that you can be happy and do something that you want to do and also be successful because of the things that we have access to now with the internet and your phone and everything else. Like, you don't have to just be a doctor, lawyer, Wall Street to make money, right? Or settle for something that you're not happy with. And I agree with that completely.
Or fish market.
Yeah, exactly. You want to know something really interesting that I actually saw recently? So this guy, he was like a video gamer and he loved video games, and his parents were always like, why are you sitting inside and playing video games all day? Like, you're so soft. Like, go out and play sports with like other kids.
Right.
And he stopped playing video games, cut it out, went and fit in with all the other kids. And if he had just stuck with like technology and video games and stuff, he could have been one of the smartest computer people ever.
Yeah.
But it was just like he was being steered away for like their lifestyle, like what they did when they were kids.
There's also people like, for instance, there's YouTube stars who like are now making millions of dollars a year.
Exactly.
And their parents are like, stop fucking around with the internet.
Yeah.
Actually like go outside like you just said, or just get a real job. And now they're making millions of dollars.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, it's fucking insane. It's unreal.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I mean, well, that's the biggest thing. I mean, with parents, I mean, they're amazing, but obviously life has completely changed, right? So like, it still kind of drives me nuts when I see people like, oh, you gotta be a lawyer. Like, for example, I heard a parent say to their kid the other day, like, no, you're gonna be a doctor or a lawyer. And I'm just like, dude, like, it's not how life is anymore.
Yeah.
You're gonna go to school for 12 years and have all this debt and like come out and I don't know.
Exactly.
It's
By that
debt
point, you're
fucking
behind.
city.
Yeah, it's crazy.
It's debt city out there. And on that college note, did you go to school? Where'd you go to school?
I went to Stockton.
You went to Stockton?
South Jersey, yeah.
Where'd you go?
West Virginia University.
You went to West Virginia?
Yeah.
Where'd you go, Jenna?
I just went to Brookdale.
Went to Brookdale? Okay. So I'm the only college dropout here. But when you guys were at college, what was your takeaway?
Honestly, I feel like my takeaway was just like extra learning in the classroom, but everything that I've really learned was just like through life, you know what I mean? Like pretty much what I learned wasn't really what I apply now necessarily.
Right.
You know what I mean?
You paid, I fuck around with people, like, you paid to go throw up on yourself. It's okay.
Honestly.
You know what honestly, like, I took away from college? I can't sit here and tell you that I like learned a ton about business or things like that, but like I definitely grew a ton as a person.
Yeah.
And I went to West Virginia, so growing up where I did in Jersey, in like a somewhat of a smaller town of Jersey, like, yes, I went on vacations and things, but I lived there my whole life, and you kind of get very used to like your crowd of people, especially in high school, your group of friends, and like you start to become a little more narrow-minded. And so when I went to West Virginia, I was surrounded by just all different sorts of people, different cultures from different countries, because it's a big university, you know, so you get people from all over. And like, for me, that mixed with the fact that me and a couple of my buddies started a fraternity, and so like I feel like I gained a whole lot of life experience, and like I grew just as a person so much that like I 100% wouldn't be the person that I am today had I not went to West Virginia. But I also did not need that education to do what I'm doing now.
Right.
It was more just life
more
experience.
Right.
Yeah. Which I think is invaluable. I think is super valuable, like for young kids, especially because like you're so when you're in high school, you're just so like
you're like coddled. Like,
yes, you're so right.
It's almost
you
like
don't know real life.
Real.
Right, exactly. You're coddled by your parents, yet you think you're an adult and you're independent, but like really you don't know anything. And so like I feel like it would have been tough for me to just get thrown into my career right out of high school. I don't know what I would be doing right now. So I think it's important, but
I think you're a hustler. I think you would have done something anyway.
I would have done something, but
Yeah.
like, I don't know. I wouldn't be the person that I am right now.
Yeah.
I wouldn't.
It is. And what about you, Jenna? What was your takeaway from Brookdale? Because like they both. Did you actually go away to school?
Yeah, I
So
live
you,
there.
you live there?
Mhm.
So what was your experience like?
I realized I wouldn't say dropped out like you did, but I did stop at my associates rather than continue. My original plan was go to another school. But I found that I was like working for my school, like the TV station, the radio station, stuff like this, much more than I was in my class. Like I would literally miss class to go jump on this sick TV station opportunity, or like, like Bruce Springsteen or a local artist was coming to the radio station. I would literally be failing my class because I wanted to be hanging out with Bruce Springsteen. Like I wanted to be like recording ads for the radio, and I wouldn't say I gained nothing from it, but I would say I gained a lot more from working for the school and the opportunities they had than the classes I was taking. And that's kind of how I had like the realization that in my industry, in the creative industry, you don't necessarily need something on paper if you have the experience.
Right.
Yeah.
And so, and like, did any of you guys actually like wind up making certain connections that helped you in any way? Because like for me, anytime somebody's like, "Oh, I'm going to college," like, what advice do you have for me? And I'm like, "You're asking the wrong fucking guy." But the only thing I can tell you though is that you should be networking your face off just in case you ever need anything in the future. You know people, because people eventually are going to maybe run a company one day,
Sure.
or they're going to do this, or you're going to do that. So if you're there and you're spending thousands of dollars, you might as well at least meet people, because that's what you do once you leave college, right?
Yep.
So for me, it's like, but did you guys get any of that? Like, do you guys have any connections from
Oh, for
college?
sure. Yeah, I still talk to a bunch of people. And that's also the awesome thing about like social media and stuff. It's allowed me to keep in touch with all those
True,
people.
right.
And for me, I ran track and cross country in college, so like I have my entire team of like 80 people
Yeah,
that I
that's
was
awesome.
really close with. Like we were really close, tight
Yeah, 80,
family.
damn.
That I still talk to a bunch of them all the time. I still talk to my coach that I had during that time a lot, and he's been like a mentor towards me with like positive feedback and advice. And he's been through a lot. He was in the Army, so like he's always like kind of drilled like time management into my head and stuff. And I really appreciate all of that. And I still talk to those guys all the time.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah. And I mean, I met my girlfriend in college
Did you?
too, so yeah.
Nice.
So I definitely.
we met the wifey in
appreciate
college.
that. Yeah, exactly.
But so also too, I just want to say one thing. Because like I have, I like I said, I started a fraternity. I was friends with hundreds of people, thousands of people in college. It was a huge school. But there's also people that I know from college that I still see on social media and things that like I would never want to talk to again or associate with. So like I think networking is super important, but you also have to be conscious of how you present yourself and how you how you are as a person, because networking, maybe it can negatively affect you. Like I knew thousands of people in college. If I was like a complete shithead, it would actually hurt me more than it would help me.
It would,
you know what I mean?
right.
Yeah, one thing that I noticed is like good people work with good people. Like if you're a
Right.
genuinely good person and you surround yourself by good people, then you're gonna accomplish great things.
100%.
And that's just
I
how
agree
it
with
is.
that.
It's
I agree
just
with
how
that
it is.
100%.
Like I remember even when we had like the Lit Tip networking group, we used to bring in guests. People were responsible to bring in a guest that could be a potential new member.
Right.
And I remember some people like coming in and just presenting themselves very bad, and like it's just like, geez, man, you just looked terrible in front of like 15 professionals in your area, and like I don't know, I think that's something important too. It's not enough to just show up and meet people. You gotta like also handle yourself properly.
You know what? I think so. I forget. I'm drawing a blank right now, but I think it was Napoleon Hill. But there's one in Think and Grow Rich, like influencing people. It's such a big part of mastering business, and whatever you're in business, whether it's sales or whether it's you own the company or whether it's you're a leader in the company or whatever, like influencing with people is literally a big, huge key to whatever type of success.
Sure.
If you think of whatever you're trying to do, either certain people, like most people, they want social validation, right? So for instance, like if I'm out, I want people, like most people want people to be like, oh, I know that's John, like he's a nice guy, he's a cool guy, whatever, he owns a company, as opposed to us, John, he's a fucking douchebag. So it's like most people want that. And how do you do that? By influencing, by presenting yourself right, by actually having a nice image, and not like not just like I don't even know how to explain it, but like with that Lit Tip group example, like I remember there's a few people that came in. and they were either very fucking awkward, or they were very like, I forget that one guy's name. There was like that one builder guy that came in, but he's like a total
arrogant,
cocky asshole.
Yeah.
And I was just like, dude, I would never give you $1.
Right.
He just came in, Nick. He came in. This guy was just like, you know, oh yeah. He almost was like too good to be there.
Yeah.
And I was like confused. I'm like, why are you here then? Like, you know, we've built hundreds of thousands of houses, this and that. And I'm like, damn, dude, like he's so cocky. I'm like, what? So what are you doing here then?
Yeah.
But so like that guy walks around like that, and it's like, how much missed opportunity does he have? So that was a great point, though.
Yeah.
That's a great point. So I mean, and that being said, anybody listening, like that's huge. Understand the fact whether you're in college or whether you're trying to climb the corporate ladder, or you're trying to build your career or get a job, like that matters. Like being a good person and like being nice to everybody. I will never forget, and I'll use this example forever. When I used to live up north in North Arlington, I had a few friends up there. One of the friends that I had, this guy literally, like, he was the dude that like always had like Nike socks on and sandals and basketball shorts. And like I moved down here in 6th grade. I went up there like 4 years ago, and right where I left him, he still had the same shit on.
Oh my God.
And I was like, dude, this is fucking insane. And like, you know, going back, like I was always nice to the guy. Like, you know, could I have been like, oh, that guy's a fucking joke or anything like that? Most people could say that. But like, I remember going back and I remember thinking like, when I got back there, I was like, damn, I left this kid right, like he was wearing the same outfit.
Yeah.
And to date, this guy got me one of my biggest clients. And like he said to me, he was like, oh, you know, I heard you have a business now. He's like, you know, give me one of your cards. I gave him one of my cards. And long story short, I got a call and I was like, holy fuck. And like, I could have thought of that guy like he was nothing. But the thing though is, that's why it's like, when you think about that, like, everybody's important.
Sure.
A big quote that I like is the doorman is just as important as the guy who owns the building. He sees everybody walking through.
Yep. So
people out there who are like, oh, well, you know, I'm not going to waste my time on these people because they're not worth it. Those people probably know 25 people that could help your business, that could help you get to somebody that, if you're needing a job, they might know somebody who needs a job.
Yeah.
So like, always be a good person. Like it costs $0 to be a good fucking human. Like that's literally what it comes down to. You know what I mean?
So true.
Like just be a good person.
And
you go to school, but you can't buy a class.
Yep.
That's all I'm saying.
And you never know when you're going to.
I can't lie. I got that from Jay-Z. I can't lie right now.
That's pretty damn good.
You that quote actually threw me off so much. I forgot what I was gonna say. John started rapping and I just lost it.
Well, the thing that makes networking easy for like you three is that you're just genuine people. Like you present yourselves in a way where you're not trying too hard and you're not being fake. And I think that's what allows you guys to build those connections because you're just 100%. Like authentic and like no one wants to walk up to you and like hear something and connect with you and then step back and be like, wow, everything I just talked about with this guy wasn't even real. Like, that's how he is.
Yeah.
And I think that's definitely something that.
And I think you never know when you're going to need certain connections. Like I try to never burn bridges, even if like one of the big things that my like broker and mentor in real estate taught me super early on was not to burn those bridges. And like, you know, if let's say for example in my industry, I have times when I go on, it's what's called a listing appointment, and so I'll meet with someone that's going to sell their home, and they're usually interviewing more than one agent. You know, and there were times early on that I really thought that I nailed it, and for whatever reason they hired another agent. And one of the things that really sticks with me to this day that my broker said, he's like, listen, don't burn that bridge. Thank that person for the opportunity to have you in. Still follow up with them. Ask them genuinely, be concerned about how are you doing on the month. You know, contact them a month or two later. Hey, is everything working out for you? You know, because you never know when those people are going to come back to you, and it's happened to me way more than a few times. You know, where people will actually come back to me and say, you know what, I made a mistake. I should have went with you, and they do. Whereas if I just burned that bridge and said, you know, screw you, I'll go find someone else. It's a completely lost opportunity. You know, you've already spent time on this person. Why not, you know, nurture that relationship?
100%. And a good example of that too is like with one of our clients recently, like we literally, the client wound up saying that, you know, they had another company who offered them way less than what we were charging them. And they were like, we're gonna give it a shot. We want to decrease our bills. So we said, okay, so they left, and instead of being like fighting them and making it a big fucking deal, and like I was like, okay, listen, you know, at the end of the day, I believe what we're doing here is a good thing, so if you want to try something else, give it a shot. You know, I wish you the best. If you need anything, I'm here for you. You know, and you're always a part of the Adapting Social family. And literally 3 months later, she came back.
Yep.
Like, and she was like, oh, you know, we need to be back. You know, I don't know what we were thinking. And most people don't think that way. Anytime, even if it's a fucking plane crash situation, whether it's in the personal life or in the business, I always leave positively, like without question. Even the people here that we've like, you know, we've to date only fired one person.
Wow, that's
literally
impressive.
to date. Any other person, and there have been people where I would sit down with them, or the leadership team sit down with them, and just be like, listen, I don't think it's a good fit. Like, let's not try to lie to ourselves here.
Right.
And then we came to an agreement, and we shook hands or hugged, and it was like, you know, we wish you the best, and we still have a good relationship with those people.
Sure.
So it's like, even in the most crazy situations, like I always try to make sure I don't burn any bridges.
Yeah.
And if a bridge gets burnt, it's always going to be the fact that like that person wanted that.
Right.
It's never going to be that I wanted that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And that says a lot.
Absolutely.
So that's something that I agree with 1,000%. Like you have to fucking make sure you don't burn bridges.
Yeah. Plus, people always change. Like people change with time, and honestly, people always look back to their mistakes and will change their mind and be like, all right, maybe I'll just give like us another shot, because they're like, these people are good and they're great and they've always been there for me. So even when I left, they were still there.
Yep.
Right.
You know, it's like comforting knowing that you have people like that will always care no matter what.
Yep.
Oh, 100%.
It's unique. It's unique. Most people aren't like that. Most people have that mindset where it's like, once I'm done with you, I'm done. And then like cut ties and then just forget.
Yeah.
But always having that connection
it
goes
doesn't
so far.
It doesn't benefit you in any way.
No, it
It
doesn't.
benefits you in zero fucking way.
That's true.
So, what is one thing that you would tell a entrepreneur right now when it comes to networking, communicating, and getting themselves off the ground as a millennial?
As a millennial. So I think as a millennial, the most important thing you can do when you are networking is, and I say this all the time, I've said it with other, things with John, and I just say it to everyone that I meet. I'm huge on presentation, especially as a millennial. You're networking mostly in the professional field with people that are older than you, so you're already starting, with the underhand. Present yourself well, and it's something that you can actually have some sort of control of that will benefit you tremendously. Like when I was having those networking events when I met you, I think people, just because I was young, wouldn't have taken me seriously had I not presented myself in a certain way and dressed a certain way and tried to so I think that's the biggest thing that I can possibly tell a millennial is don't take that stuff for granted. I think now it's become so cool to like be casual and like look like Mark Zuckerberg and wear a t-shirt and like whatever, and like that's fine. But if you're trying to network with older professional people, it's not helping you. It may not, I don't know if I think it's hurting, but it's definitely not helping you.
Right.
And that's my biggest thing that I can tell millennials, like, don't take that for granted. Like, there's no shame in like throwing on a suit and tie if you need to go meet someone. You know what I mean? It's not uncool.
Right.
No.
Right.
Good style's timeless.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is. And the thing is, though, what I'll add to that is everybody in this room knows, for me, I'm in the marketing field, right? And the design field. The marketing and design now has become Gary Vee, I'm wearing a sweater, and
Right.
Mark Zuckerberg, and like you're kind of just walking down high